dead in Ohio. For dead in Ohio. For dead in Ohio. For dead in Ohio. For dead in Ohio. How many more? For dead in Ohio. Why? For dead in Ohio. For dead in Ohio. For dead in Ohio. Why? For dead in
The story that I'm going to be telling you about today is a spooky story, and it's a true story, and it's something that occurred to me, your humble narrator, Masonic Mike. Now, this happened a few years ago, and it was pretty weird. I think I'll be able to remember everything that happened and tell you. When this incident occurred, I was living in Ohio, of course, and it was deep in the woods. It was late at night, and I had walked outside, and when I got to my doorstep, I noticed this black figure crouching in my driveway. At first I thought it was a dog, but it moved a bit, and I noticed it was really big, too big to be a dog. And it looked more like a person crouching down in my driveway like they were trying to hide. I walked over towards it, and when I did so, the black figure jumped into the air, and it jumped clean over top of a building that I had near my house. It was a really big jump. Now that was really freaky. So I went inside because I didn't want it to jump on me. I was in the house sitting on my couch, and I noticed out of the corner of my eye that there was this little 3-foot creature sitting beside of me on the opposite side of the couch. It was about the size of a kid. When I went to look directly at it, there was nothing there. I walked out into my kitchen, and I happened to glance at my window, and there was this really hideous looking face looking in my window. It looked like a old woman, but she was grotesque, and her face was mangled. It wasn't someone wearing a mask, it was an actual face. I walked back into my bedroom, and I was sitting there listening to music when I heard what sounded like someone walking on the roof of my house. It started at one end, and I could hear whatever it was walking right up towards where I was in the bedroom. Now, these were really loud footsteps, and it sounded like a person. It didn't sound like a raccoon or a possum. It sounded like a person walking on the roof of my house. I went to my door and made sure that it was locked, and then I turned all the lights on in the house. Then I went back in my bedroom, sat down on my bed, with a butcher knife that I had grabbed from out of the kitchen, which I laid down beside the bed. I laid down in bed, and this black fog appeared over top my bed, and it started swirling around. Now, I have heard of sleep paralysis, and when it happened, I was aware of it too. And this wasn't sleep paralysis. I was still awake. The swirling black fog got bigger as I laid watching it. And then this black figure appeared from out of the fog, and it pinned me to the bed. And I wasn't able to move. Now I know everyone's going to say, oh no, you were asleep and you just thought you were awake. No, I was awake. And I tried my best to fight it, but I was not able to do anything. I wasn't able to even move my arms or my legs. Across the room, I noticed this black hole appear in the far side of my wall. And then these 3 men climbed out of the hole into my bedroom while everything else was going on. They were dressed all in white. They had white hair. And I really didn't know what to make of them. They just stood there watching me. I struggled some more with the figure that had come out of the fog. And I eventually was able to move my arm, and I grabbed the butcher knife that was beside of me. And I stabbed it into the figure, and when I did so, it disappeared. And so did the 3 men dressed in white. A couple days after this occurred, I told my mom about what had happened, and she said that my sister told her almost the same story, and so did my stepsister. My sister was laying in bed asleep, and a black swirling cloud appeared over her bed, and an invisible force pinned her to the bed, and she wasn't able to move. The same thing happened to my stepsister. She was in bed. The black cloud appeared over her bed, swirling. A black figure came out of the fog, just like what happened to me, and it pinned her to the bed. She struggled with it. But when you hear people telling stories about this occurring to them, don't take it at face value that they just had sleep paralysis, because it's not always that. There's something else going on. Personally, I think it's beings from another dimension. What their agenda is, I couldn't tell you. But when you're in bed at night and the black cloud appears over your bed, make sure that you have a weapon beside your bed like I did. Well, I know that the end of my story was a little bit morbid. Sorry about that. But I hope that I gave you something to think about. And I hope that maybe I spooked you a little bit, being that Halloween's right around the corner. I'm sure that you realize that Halloween is my favorite holiday. And, it's a really ancient holiday. It was started by the pagans. They called it Samhain or Samhain. And, the harvest was a big part of the ritual. And orchard fruits like apples were part of the festivities, as well as dressing up in costumes so that the spirits of the dead wouldn't be able to track you down and drag you into the grave with them. So you guys make sure that you dress up for Halloween, carry an apple around with you, and enjoy yourself. Please subscribe to my channel, comment, give me a like, and tell your friends to do the same. This is Masonic Mike for WeirdO-hio. Happy Samhain.
Oh, yeah.